Alright, we're taking a look at our new template set called Hyper. And so what this is kind of like a neon glow type of effect. Really happy with how this one turned out. But I want to just do a quick demo, kind of walk through here of how easy this is to use. This is pretty much going to have you, 99% of the way there. A couple little tweaks and you guys are going to have no trouble with this. So this is how the template's going to load up. We already have some kind of background graphic effects built in. For instance, if we turn our triangle off, we're going to see we have this background glow and this foreglow already built in. And these are layers that can be turned on and off. There's a couple different background glows. This is more of like a center spot for some of the smaller objects. We'll take a look at that. We've got more of a full width glow for some of the full width effects. And then we have these individual spots, which these are all in their own little layers, and I'll show you what those are for here in just a second. Alright, so let's turn that off. We'll just turn this glow back on. And so let's look at what we got in here. We've got this glowing triangle. We have a circle. We've got some vertical bars kind of centered up here. We have some full length verticals. Some centered horizontals. Full length horizontals. Now these full lengths, these are where we would want to change out, instead of this background spot, to do the full width, so it glows all the way across. So that would work well for the full length horizontal bars, also for the vertical bars. So we got some centered diagonals. Again, I would switch this personally back to the center glow. I think it looks a little better. We have this explosion type of graphic. We've got a star, a heart, and we've got these musical notes. And the musical notes now are where we would use these individual spots. Because these notes, if you open the group up, are all individual in here. So the good thing about that is these can be moved and reoriented however you would like to move them. So we could drag it out here. And so the reason that the background spots are individually layered is so that we could move those to match. So if we wanted to bring that over here, we could kind of put our background glow behind that and create any arrangement that you want here. Alright, so let's turn that back off for just a second. Go up here, turn this off. We have these kind of like angelic type of wings in here, which is a pretty cool effect. And then we also have some text in here. And the text, again, looks better if we do the full width glow on it. And the text is easy as just double clicking the text, editing what we want it to say, and as simple as that. I've got the font that this is on the website of where you can grab a copy of that. But let's take a look at throwing a subject in here and what's involved with that. So we'll just bring our triangle back up, go back to our background glow. So I'm just going to pull in the sample that I've used here. So I've already got her extracted off of the background. Everybody's pretty familiar with how to do that. She is lit with a, kind of a traditional 3 light setup. So a couple of rim lights on the edges and a front light. I am going to have a couple lighting diagrams for a good 3 light or 2 light setup to work well for this template. But we've got her extracted. I'm just going to pull her over into our template. She's going to load up. Going to go ahead and resize here. Command or Control T. I'm going to Shift Alt, kind of bring her down to fit. Let's go something about like that for now. Looks pretty good. And so one thing that you'll notice, we have a spot in here of where to drop our subject. I actually dropped in behind there, so I'm going to move her up to our subject group. And the reason we have that is because above the subject group we have some color grading layers. So once we drop our subject in the group, what I'd like you to take notice is if we take our subject and make them fairly neutral, say in the raw or however you bring them in, then when you drop them in behind these color grading layers into the subject group, that's going to go ahead and apply some color grading to help tie them into this kind of neon environment. So the one little thing that we want to do, the one manual tweak that you're going to have here is we want them, if you're doing a full length and you see their feet, we do want them to feel like they're grounded within this image. Okay? So this is not hard at all, especially if your subject's feet are on a horizontal plane like this, so they're lined up with one another. It's really, really easy. So I want to show you how to do this pretty quickly here. So all we need to do is take our subject. I'm going to duplicate the subject, Command-Control-J. I'm going to go to the layer underneath here, and I'm going to flip this. So Command-Control-T to transform, and we're going to right-click and come down here, flip vertical. So now we're going to drag the vertical down, and I'm just going to line the feet up here. So I'll get close, and then I'm just going to bring it up with my arrow keys, just to where it's touching. And then we'll apply this. Now, just to help with this reflection I'm putting in here, what I'm going to do is just a quick blur on this. I'm going to go Filter, Blur, and down here to Motion Blur. And I'm going to set the motion to a 90-degree angle, so it's up and down. And I'm going to bring the distance somewhere around 40 pixels or so. That looks pretty good. So that's just going to give us a nice little soft blur up and down here. And then I'm also going to drop the opacity just a little bit. Again, I want this to look like a reflection. And then the other, just one little tweak that I'm going to do right above this reflection, I'm going to take a blank layer. I'm going to grab a brush, set to black. Flow is going to be low, somewhere around 10-12%. And I'm just going to put a couple light strokes like this in. Nothing too difficult. And then we're going to blur this once. So we're going to go Filter, Blur, right back to Motion Blur. Now I'm going to change my angle back to 0, so we're blurring horizontally. And let's bring our distance up a good bit here. I'm just kind of watching it. Something like that looks pretty good. Let's say around 800, 840. So we get this nice soft long blur on this. And then I'm also going to drop the opacity of this one. So it's just going to look like some light shadowing under her. So you can see within a couple little steps there, we've gone from, our subject kind of feeling like they're floating out in this environment now to they're actually kind of standing and grounded into this. So within a couple little steps, you can see how easy it is to just drop our subject in, quick little flip, blur for the reflection, quick little basic shadowing, just so they feel like they're grounded. Okay, and then the last thing that I would like to point out, the cool thing about this template, is it's really easy to match up colors to clothing. So for instance, she's got this orange type of shirt on. If we want to match this up, well, all we need to do is there's a layer built in here called Color Shift. So we're just going to turn this Color Shift layer on, and this is a hue saturation adjustment layer. So we'll click on our adjustment so that we can see our sliders here. And if we want to match this shirt, all we need to do is drag this hue slider, and I'm going to drag it until that background it goes orange and starts to match up there. So kind of orange, between orange and red, something like that. So that's how simple it is to match this up. And then if you turn any of these effects on, it's just going to keep that color glow, and it's just going to match right up there. And so it's as easy as that. Any color that you want, you just move this slider, and that's going to help you match that up in no time flat. I will mention one little kind of, I'll say a tip right at the end. One thing if you want to just go just the extra mile quickly. So if you'll notice on our subject that she was photographed with ungelled lights. So we have this, white daylight, more balanced lighting on her arms here and on her leg. If we want to kind of fake the effect of this glow, well, all we need to do is I'm going to add a blank layer above our subject, and I'm going to clip this layer down to our subject. So we'll create a clipping mask, and then I'm going to set the blend mode of this layer down to color. And then I'm going to grab a brush here. Let's bring the flow up a little bit, around 30% is good. And now I'm going to hold Option or Alt, and I'm going to sample this orange color from the glow. And I'm going to come right in here in these edge lights, and I'm just going to paint over this. So anywhere where there's a little bit of side edge lighting here, And I'm going to be kind of sloppy with it for now. Grab a little bit here on the leg. And we'll get the back of the hand here. Maybe grab her toes right there, why not? And then just to refine this up a little bit, we're going to double click on this layer, right out here beside the layer name. We're going to pop into our layer style box here. And there's a little advanced feature right here a lot of people aren't familiar with called the blend if. And just for a quick high level overview of what this does is the blend if allows you to tell Photoshop how you want this layer to blend in based on the layers below it. And so we're looking at this underlying layer slider. And so what we're going to do is just real quickly, I'm going to hold the Alt or Option key and I'm going to grab this slider to the left and split this into two. And what's going to happen is I pull this slider up, you're going to see that this begins to fade off of the darker areas but only remain on the lighter areas. So I'm going to grab this second little slider, I'm going to pull it up, and I'm really just looking for the point to where that orange that we painted on is only showing up on that thin little highlight that we have there from our rim lights. So somewhere about like that. And then we'll click OK. Looks like I can even actually paint there a little bit. So that's just one extra little second you can take and match that side light up to what's going on in the background. So if you want to take that extra step, again, you know, takes you a minute at most to do that, and it's just going to give you that extra little refinement right on the end there. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully you guys get a ton of use out of this. I'm really happy with it. Can't wait to see what everybody puts together using it, and I'll talk to you later.